Corporate social responsibility tends to be divided into 4 different areas. So you'll find that most corporates are looking at community responsibility, they're looking at labour responsibility, they're looking at the environment responsibility, and they're also looking at corporate governance or accountability, I guess. And in the UK in particular, I think they're quite advanced in the area of CSR. 90% of businesses have to report on this very regularly, and it's actually affecting a lot of business areas. So you see it in things like supply chain management, you see it in investor decisions, you see it in labelling, and you see it in community action. There's a couple of areas, I think, particularly labelling. If you look at the green area, what we're finding is a proliferation of labels around fair trade, around carbon footprinting, around water footprinting, organic, recycling. There's a lot of concerns around particularly the environmental agenda. For Australian suppliers who think this is a fad and not something that's going to stay around for a long time, my advice to them would be watch out, because when we talk to the UK retailers, for example, many of them are issuing environmental guidelines to their suppliers. So Dole is a classic one. If you think about the area of water, Dole uses a lot of water in their products, and they've issued guidelines to all their suppliers about how to reduce their water footprint. And they have set targets like 20%, 40%. And the guidelines are mostly voluntary at the moment. It's about best practice. How do I actually manage my water resources better? How do I get better production from my water? But it won't be very long before those voluntary guidelines are made mandatory. And essentially it means for Australian exporters who want to supply agricultural products, for example, to Dole, if they don't meet the water criteria, they won't be able to sell to them, and they will effectively be cut out of the supply chains. In the environmental agenda, you'll find a lot of different things, whether it's a carbon footprint or cruelty to animals, sustainable production. There's a whole, or labour practices actually, even for things like coffee beans and stuff. What it means is particularly our food and beverage industry, and our textile industries, which tend to be quite outwards focused in terms of export, they really need to be aware of these trends and make sure that they can measure and back up any ethical claims that they make, and they need to make sure that they have some, because if they try to sell a product into, say, the UK market that has absolutely no clean, green, sustainable or ethical claim at all, they are closing off probably 80% of the market in terms of potential, and it will get more and more difficult to sell into the UK market unless they make those sorts of claims and adjustments. They have to be careful of greenwashing. Greenwashing is basically where you overinflate your claims or you have no data to back up your claims. The UK consumers are getting a bit jaded with what they see as false claims, and they will very quickly change product. Greenwashing is actually an interesting market driver because it's also leading to something called choice editing. And choice editing in the UK is a business-led trend. Consumers are getting confused by the amount of labels on products and are confused about how to make ethical choices. And they are now saying, I want to believe in the retailer's brand, not have to worry about the individual products in those stores. So if you take an example, Marks and Spencer's is seen to be one of the strongest sustainable, ecological, ethical traders in the UK market, and they have a 100-point plan on everything from water to waste to recycling to labour to animal cruelty, everything. And they are saying to their consumers, don't worry about choosing between one coffee and another in our store. We will only stock products that meet our claims. And this means they edit the choice that is available for the consumer and take the pain of decision making away from them. They just need to make a decision between shopping in Marks and Spencer's and shopping in Sainsbury's.